Chapter 5 Consequences of the French and Indian War. Fighting between the French and British was over, but relations between the British and the American Indian allies were tense. The American Indians were angry about what they saw as broken British promises. The British tried to create a more lasting peace by carrying out the promises of the Treaty of Easton. They banned colonists from settling beyond the Appalachian Mountains. Chief Pontiac and his Native American allies visited British forces during Pontiac's War, when American Indians fought back against the British. Chief Pontiac's Address. On May 5, 1763, Ottawa Chief Pontiac called on other American Indian leaders to join him in attacking Fort Detroit due to what he saw as broken British promises. Within 2 months, several forts had been taken or destroyed. Pontiac gave a speech during this gathering saying, "It is important for us, my brothers, that we exterminate from our lands this nation which seeks only to destroy us. The English sell us goods twice as dear as the French do, and their goods do not last. Scarcely have we bought a blanket or something else to cover ourselves with before we must think of getting another." But this did not calm the American Indians. It also upset colonists who had been waiting to move westward. The land the colonists had won would encourage them to have a special vision about their country and its future. This led to a century of conflict between settlers and American Indians as the young United States slowly but surely spread west. The road to revolution. Great Britain spent huge amounts of money during the war. Colonial holdings in North America before the French and Indian War. This map shows the land in North America held by Great Britain, France, and Spain before the French and Indian War. What does the map show about the division of the land before the war? Based upon what you read in the text, how did these divisions change after the Treaty of Paris was signed? British claims, French claims, Spanish claims, disputed British-French claims, disputed British-Spanish claims, Gulf of Mexico, Spanish Florida, Louisiana, Fort Necessity, Fort Duquesne, Braddock's defeat, Fort Niagara, Fort Frontenac, Montreal, New France, Quebec, Fort Louisbourg, Fort Ticonderoga, Fort Oswego, Fort William Henry. Atlantic Ocean, Hudson Bay, Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. Settlers move into the Ohio Territory. It also supported a global empire. The British government decided to tax the colonies to help raise money, but the colonists believed the right to tax should come from the approval of the citizens. For the next 10 years, the colonists became more and more angry about Great Britain's attempts to control the colonies and to raise money through taxes. For the first time, they began to think of themselves as a unit instead of 13 individual governments. Together, they protested taxes, limits on westward expansion, and other British laws. These protests lit the spark that would start the Revolutionary War in 1775. Important dates. 1749. The British and French both claim land in the Ohio River Valley. 1754. The Albany Congress meets in June. 1754. George Washington surrenders Fort Necessity. 1758. The British have victories at Forts Louisbourg and Frontenac. 1758. The British and several American Indian nations signed the Treaty of Easton. 759. The Battle on the Plains of Abraham for Quebec takes place in September. 1755. Great Britain sends troops to North America to support the war effort. 1756. Great Britain and France declare war on each other as part of the 7 Years' War. 1757. The French have victories at Fort William Henry. 1760. The French surrender Montreal and all of Canada. 1763. Chief Pontiac leads the American Indian Rebellion against the British. 1763. The signing of the Treaty of Paris on February 10th ends the French and Indian War. Stop and think. Take a stand. This book discusses how the British and the French treated various American Indian nations. Take a position on this issue and write a short essay explaining your opinion. Include your reasons for your opinion and give some facts and details to support those reasons. Dig deeper. What questions do you still have about the French and Indian War? Do you want to learn more about the weapons used at the time, or the Europeans, American Indian allies, and their way of life? Write down 1 or 2 questions that can guide you in doing research. With an adult's help, find a few reliable news sources about this time period that can help answer your questions. Write a few sentences about how you did your research and what you learned from it. You are there. Imagine you are living in Quebec during Brigadier General James Wolfe's attempt to capture the city. Write 300 words describing your experience. How do you feel about the decisions made by Wolfe during the course of the struggle? Tell the tale. This book discusses how Great Britain angered the colonists after the end of the French and Indian War. Write 200 words that tell the true tale of how the colonists felt. Be sure to set the scene, develop a sequence of events, and offer a conclusion.